recommend to do some readings and to acquire some philosophical culture. Yeah. But anyway, so we use some tools, and we view philosophical culture as a toolbox of concept, problems, methodologies, but it's not the center of the practice itself. So philosophical consultation is not teaching philosophy as such. It's not philosophy as erudition, as knowledge. The second thing that philosophical consultation is not is teaching wisdom. Now, it is not that wisdom is not useful. Wisdom are ideas about how to lead one's life, how to be happy, how to, I don't know, feel peaceful, how to avoid problems. And throughout history, throughout different culture, different periods, all kind of ideas about wisdom have emerged. And it's a little bit like with philosophical culture. Sometimes indeed we use some very basic wisdom, like to when people want to think, just to calm down, settle down, and try to create some peace and not to be too emotional. So that's or to be able to suspend your judgment, the epoche, where when you want to understand a new idea, you have to forget what you know, what you think, your judgments, right? So of course, so we use sometimes little elements of wisdom, but again, philosophical consultation is not a class in wisdom, and especially not teaching a particular type of wisdom. We all have our preference in wisdom, some principles that we like, that we think useful, and maybe we can use them, but that is not the essence of the philosophy consultation. Yeah? So in French, we say at homeopathic doses, at little doses you can use, but that is not the core of the activity, to teach some wisdom. The third thing that it is not is a discussion or debate. It is not an exchange of opinion. It is not the confronting of perspectives. Normally, the philosopher who does the consultation is not supposed to come with some ideas that he wants to teach or impose or propose. Now, neither expert thoughts, like what the philosopher says, nor his personal thoughts, his own particular opinions. Yeah? And the same thing with the subject who's going through the philosophy consultation. His function is not simply to express his ideas, his opinions, what he has gathered throughout the years, and to defend it, to debate. Of course, he might at some point express some opinion, some idea, but it will be more to work on it, to problematize it, to analyze it, and not just to express it. It is not a comfort, and that's probably one of the difficult things, because that's a normal way that dialogue operates in daily life. We have opinions, others have opinions, we confront those opinions. It's what Hegel calls the struggle to death for mutual recognition. We want the other one to recognize us, not to be an object, but as a subject. And both partners of the dialogue want to be recognized as a subject worthy of something. And we are looking in the others for some kind of recognition to compensate our sense of worthlessness or whatever. Yeah. So yes, so philosophical consultation is not the expression of our opinions, no matter how deep or great or or subtle are our opinions. So these are the I mentioned those three aspects of what philosophy consultation is not, which is teaching philosophy, teaching wisdom, exchange of opinion. Because when people try to do philosophy consultation, either as a practitioner or as a subject, this is most likely what will take place. And then when people are experienced, is always a bit falling into this trap. This being said, after speaking about Charybdis and Scylla, what is this fine line between the traps that can be a philosophy consultation? Well, I would like to take an analogy, which I use very often. It's the analogy of the gymnastics, going to the health club, since it's a popular physical exercise today. You go to when people go to the gym club, they go to exercise themselves. Now here, there's something important, is that maybe you go to the gym club because you want to be healthy. There is a purpose. You want to be healthy, you want to stay in good health. But normally, what should happen when you go to the gym club is a double phenomenon where, first of all, you make efforts, because if you don't make any effort, no matter what the exercise is, you're not going to the gym club. You're going to a tea club. Yeah, you're just going there to meet people and have a nice little chat and do. And most likely you will find it very boring and don't find a reason to pay subscription and keep going there. So there's an effort. You're working on yourself. What the idea of exercising, you exercise yourself in the double sense of you work, you do something difficult, but at the same time exercising the way you exercise power, or you exercise a profession, you're accomplishing something and you're doing something. So it's not simply that you want to get something, but you want to actually accomplish something. You want to exercise yourself. Yeah. And in this effort, you are supposed to find some pleasure, to find some interest. Because unless you're a masochist, if it's pure effort, painful, normally you will not last very long and you will stop going to the gym club. So you're supposed to find some pleasure in the exercising yourself. In spite of the pain you're going through because of the effort, you're supposed to find some kind of pleasure. And why I'm saying that, because that's probably one distinction there is between, for example, a psychotherapy and philosophical consultation. See, psychotherapy. I mean, of course, you can always go for the pleasure of doing psychotherapy, but in general, you go with a purpose. You want to feel better, you want to cure some problem, you want to deal with some pathology you have, and hopefully you will not keep going to see the therapist. You just want to solve your problem. But even though this might happen in philosophy consultation, where some people come to us because they want to solve some problem, the main point, the main idea we try to make people live or exercise is the joy of thinking. Thinking is a joyful activity. Now, thinking, of course, can be understood in many different ways. People tell you that they think. Whatever they do, they think. They think to go to work. They think when they go to the store not to forget something. So thinking here, but here I would like to make another analogy, is like with dancing. That's the difference with dancing. You go to the disco, you want to unload, you had a hard week and you want to just move around and you feel better because you move and you get excited. And dancing as something you learn, either because you learn ballet or you learn some kind of instructed dancing. And in that kind of dancing, there is you exercise because you're working on yourself. Yeah, it's not simply that you move and you get excited. There's actually you work on your gestures, and because you work on your gestures as well, you're working on your own mind. Yeah? So it's a bit the same thing with thinking in the philosophy consultation. We invite people to do a thinking exercise where they actually are working on yourself and on themselves. Yeah, and actually, I just had something funny last week. There's a lady who was supposed to start sessions of philosophy sessions, and then she goes to Australia, and she tells you, I remind her she was supposed to do thinking exercise, and she says, but I don't need. You see, I'm thinking in Australia. For example, I have to drive on the other side of the road, so I'm thinking all the time. Every time I drive, I have to think, which was actually a funny remark. In a way, it's true. She has to be conscious where she's driving. But the kind of mental gestures that allow constructed thinking is not exactly what's going to happen if you just have to be careful on driving on the right side of the road. They are, because in the philosophy consultation, and that's why it's called philosophical, we learn, just like in martial art or in dancing, we learn very specific gestures. Yeah? Thinking is not simply something where you move around ideas in your head in a more or less chaotic way. They are mental gestures, just like if you learn karate, you will have katas where you will repeat certain types of gestures on and on. You repeat them because then when you do a combat, you have integrated those gestures. Yeah? And in any physical art, you will have certain type of gestures. In art, you have gestures. So same in thinking, they are very specific gestures which have been used throughout the history of philosophy. Now, what are these basic gestures? Well, very basic one, like argumentation. When you say something, you have a reason why you say this thing. You go to try to find the root or the cause of this idea. When you have a general idea, you can give example to exemplify this idea. You can analyze the idea. You can have an idea, but then analyze it or give interpretation of this idea. Yeah? You can problematize this idea. That means that you are able to look at the limits of this idea. When is it doesn't work? You can examine it critically either through asking questions or through finding objections. These are the main tools to problematize. Yeah, but the idea is that there's no, you cannot express something as an absolute. It's sort of a priori. It's a bit of a Hegelian idea, among others, of Popper, that whatever is expressed in a way is limited in terms of its content, limited of its scope, limited of its application. And so there's no, often people say, is it really that? And often in life, we want to know what is really that. Well, weirdly enough, in philosophy consultation, like in philosophy in general, there's no really that. Something might be that, but really that would imply some kind of absolute. Now, it might be more this than that, but really that in the sense of being absolutely that, well, that would not make any sense. So to problematize, and that's probably one of the most difficult aspects of a philosophy consultation, is no matter how true an idea is for us, no matter how important it is, no matter how valuable it is, we still have to be able problematize this idea. Yeah? And one last gesture, which is important, is the idea to conceptualize. To conceptualize, it's all the work done on words. It doesn't matter if it's to use a concept, to recognize a concept, to define a concept, to utilize a concept, but it's the work on words. And why is it important? Among other reasons, is when people speak, they very much are in their intention of something they want to say. But bad luck, what you say never fits totally, or sometimes it doesn't fit much, what you want to say. And of course, we can view this as a problem, but as well, we can view it as a problem in a positive sense, that precisely we can see that the reality of what we're saying is more or less than the intention we had. That tends to make people upset because they would like to be the full master of their speech, to totally control their own speech. But our concepts, which we often were not totally conscious of the concept we're using. Actually, I shouldn't say concept because if it's a concept, it means it's rather clear. But very often we use words without being not so clear about it. But to conceptualize is, which is the key issue, is not so much the concept, but to conceptualize. To conceptualize is the work of clarification on what the words, on what is the content of the words we are using. And our intention never exhausts the meaning or the utilization of this word. Yeah. So it's not simply to work on semantics, but the idea is that what we say has more in a way to say than what we want to say. And if we trust ourselves, we can always say, yeah, but that's not what I wanted to say. Well, that doesn't matter. Still, you said it. And if you want to be, let's call it authentic or honest with yourself, of integrity, you should be able to look at what you're saying as the reality of your speech and therefore as the reality of your thinking. And that's rather painful because it means you don't own your speech. You don't own it. And the person listening to you has as much ownership on your speech as you have, simply because you use words which are coded, which belong to a common language, which are used according to common sense. And that leads us to the functioning of the philosophy practitioner, is precisely to be the echo chamber, like in the guitar, there are the strings and the echo chamber. To be the echo chamber of what people say, to make them hear what they say, which normally we don't do very much. Again, because we're so caught up in our intention that we don't hear so much what we're saying. So the idea is to be able to hear what we say beyond what we want to say, and to examine in a critical way our speech and its content. So that's a short summary, but I think I would like to stop here as a little preamble to the philosophy consultation. And before I start showing a philosophy consultation, does anyone want to ask something or to add something to the elements that I have provided? If it's the case, you raise your hand. Or if your hand is not seen, which is possible because I don't see all the pages, you can start speaking. So any question or comment? Or I'm going to feel very lonely, but I guess that's usual. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for your generosity. No problem. Yes, It's usual with human beings. You know, the
I have
risk
a question.
is a terrifying. So now, who would like to do a consultation so I can show a little bit how it functions? And I would like someone that has never done it, preferably. Yeah. Does anybody want to do it that has not done it? You raise your hand or you speak.
I guess I'll volunteer. This is Katrina.
Okay,
if you can hear
Katrina,
me.
wait. I'm trying to find if I see you.
I'm sorry, I don't have my video on though.
Okay, hold on. I have two
yeah,
pages. I'm looking for you, Katrina.
My Wi-Fi connection is not strong enough to have video on.
Ah,
So,
okay.
will that interfere, or should you?
We cannot see you, yeah? Yeah? Oh, okay, okay.
Or I could try to turn it on, but...
well, try it. Let's see what's going to happen.
Okay, let's see.
It's always better. Did you try to put it on?
Sorry?
Yeah, yeah, speak, Katrina. Let's see if we hear you at the same time.
No, I turned it off.
You turn it off.
I shouldn't.
I see you.
Okay, I turned off the computer.
It's another Katrina then. Oh, there are two Katrinas here.
I am Lara, and I turned off the Katrina. Katrina, please turn on the mic.
Okay. Can you turn it on, Lara?
There.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Katrina, it looks like we both have your image and the sound, so we try with that. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
It's always better, you know, in the work. Of course, we can do it sometimes simply with audio, but in general, it's better to dialogue with some visual. Yeah. So you've never done a consultation, Katrina, right?
No, I have a background in philosophy. My undergraduate degree was in philosophy, but no, I have no experience with this.
All right. Now, the way generally it works is we ask people if there is either a question or a problem, anything of any type. It doesn't have to be quote unquote philosophical, but is there any question you would like to ask or any issue you would like to bring up?
Well, I happen to be right in the middle of starting a new business, and I'm trying to clarify exactly what that should be, because I want it to come from the deepest part of my heart and soul.
All right. So, okay, why don't you stop here, because already you're scaring me already a little bit when I hear people wanting to invite me in the deepest anything, being in the deepest ocean, deepest heart, deepest mind. I get very nervous, yeah? Because when it gets so deep, I'm always weary that we get drowned, you know? So can you say something a little bit more concrete? Like I ask myself this question, for example, or the problem is that, but make it very concise. Is that possible?
Okay. I'm trying to conceptualize my new business in a way that will allow me to maintain my integrity when I work every day.
Okay. Now, you see, I'm going to propose to you some things, yeah, Katrina? And in what you say so far, I see something very ambitious. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I feel like I'm on mission.
No. Just if you agree with me, there's something very ambitious here.
Uh-huh. Right.
Uh-huh. Yes. If you tell me, I don't know what. See, I don't know you much. I just listen to you. And based on what you told me, I hear something very ambitious. And all I want to know is if you agree with me that the way you speak is ambitious, or no, you don't think so.
Yes, I agree
okay.
with you.
You see this ambition in your functioning in your life? Do you?
Yes.
Yes. Is that ambition a problem?
Yes.
Yes. Can you either make a sentence with ambition showing the problem or ask a question about ambition?
Well, I
Just
live in the USA, and it's a problem if you have too much ambition here, because my concepts don't fit into capitalism, and I'm trying to carve time. I don't know. Now it's.
Katrina, do you tend to speak too much?
Do I plan to?
No. Do you tend to? Is that a tendency you have to say too many things?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, then let's go with that. Why do you say so many things?
Because I have a lot. I think a lot. I think quickly.
That's fine. That's fine. A lot. Yeah. You hear this lot? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which is funny because if I understood correctly, you criticize capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah. Except
Okay.
I kind of regret that. I don't want to go down that path.
Katrina, be nice with me. Be nice. I'm an old guy, you know. Be nice. Just tell me yes or no.
Okay.
You criticize capitalism.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're in the lot business, and your ambitious are in the lot business. Yes, you have a lot. You heard that?
Lot?
Yeah, you said I have a lot, right?
Of thought.
No, I don't care. I know, but you said I have a lot.
Yes.
Lot is about quantity.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know the essence of capitalism is quantity?
Yes.
Plus, you're ambitious, right?
Yes.
And one of the crucial dynamic of capitalism is ambition. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, that's beautiful. You see? That's my job. So in a little time, I realized a major contradiction in the way you speak. Do you see why I say that or no?
Yeah.
Just yes or no.
So.
Just yes or no.
Well, it's not, I can't tell you if for you to know that I understood what you said, you would need to confirm that my summary of my understanding of what you said. Otherwise.
Okay. Katrina, do you tend to complicate things?
No.
No, you tend to be simple, yeah?
No.
Okay, do you tend more to complicate things or more to be simple? What is your main
It's
tendency?
not either or. That's a logical fallacy.
Okay, you're neither this nor that, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll tell you what. Suppose Romeo asks Juliet, Juliet, do you want to marry me? And Juliet says, well, I'm not in yes, I'm not in no, okay? Romeo, does he think Juliet is simple or complicated? It's Romeo, huh?
He might think that that's a matter of timing.
No, Katrina, look, I tell you what, Katrina. We have, at this point, you have to make a decision. Either my question are bearable, you think they're bearable, and then you answer them, or you think they're unbearable, they're too horrible, and you don't want to answer them. So
would I be like a difficult client, do you think?
Katrina, do you want to go on discussing with me, or it's too hard for you?
Yes, I'll go on.
Okay, but if you go on, you realize that you have to accept the rules of the games as I present them. You understand? You see that?
Yes.
Because if you want to do something else, fine. You live in a democracy, but not here.
Not really.
Here, you know, in the game, I present it to you. And if you follow the game, you might see things normally. Katrina, listen to me. Just listen. I know it's hard for you. You're a talker. I got it. But here, the idea is to be able to surrender. Are you okay to surrender, or it's hard for you? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Ready to surrender?
Yes.
Okay. So far, do you think more you surrender or more you resist?
Resist.
Okay. So you've seen this resistance to my question, yes?
Sorry.
Have you seen the resistance you had to my questions or no?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain in one sentence, just one sentence, why do you resist?
Because I need to check.
Stop. That's it. That's it. Stop. Stop. It's enough. You said plenty.
Okay.
Just repeat the first two words.
Because I.
Just repeat the first two words of your sentence.
Because I.
No. I need. I need. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So you said I need, right?
Right.
Now I'm going to propose to you a strange idea, but actually I took it from Spinoza. If you're in the need, you have no freedom. You see why?
Yes.
Yeah? So the way you describe yourself is as a victim of yourself, of your needs. Do you agree with me or no?
No.
No. What your needs, do you decide your needs or are they self-imposed?
They come through experience and
No.
ambition.
Katrina, careful. You're trying to escape again. I propose you A or B. It's not C. Try again. Needs, are they more choice or more something that is self-imposed?
It could be either. It depends on the
Okay.
context.
Okay, Katrina, tell you what. If you don't want to choose between A and B, fine, but I'm going to give up. Are you ready to surrender? Yes or no?
I think maybe someone else would be a better example. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I
No,
appreciate
it's fine. You
that.
were a
I
great
very much
client,
appreciate
Katrina.
your time, but thank you.
Don't get upset. You were a great
I'm not
client
upset.
because you don't notice, but people have been watching, see the discussion. They've been learning many things, not so about you maybe, but as well about the functioning of a philosophy consultation and the difficulty of a philosophy consultation. So before we abandon each other, I just have a couple of questions. First of all, did you like our discussion? Rather yes or rather no?
No.
No, exactly. Good. And why you didn't like it? Tell me.
Well, I work as a psychological consultant and I draw from philosophy in my work as well. And this is very different. I think my clients would walk out the door if I tried this.
Okay, okay. So basically, this doesn't fit the way you function usually, and it doesn't fit the way your clients function, right?
Right.
Good. Well, thank you. You understood exactly what the principle of a philosophy consultation is to get you out of the usual habits of both you and the citizen of your capitalist environment, yes? Where they're used to fitting their needs, their consumer demands, and if they don't get it, they get upset. So when you tell them, hey, let's do something else, they get upset because they have consumer habits. So you see, it's good. We understand why you don't like this consultation. But did you get something out of it? Anything? Did you get any idea out of it?
Yes, I did, because I realized that it feels too constrained for the way that I work, and the way that I operate would never put someone in a position where they have to choose either or of anything.
All right.
It doesn't fit with the way I think, but I learned that, and I didn't ever think about that before. So thank you so much for that.
I agree with you. What kind of a consumer world would that be if you go to a store and you can only have A and B? That would be a horrible store. People would quit. They say, I don't want A and B. I want many more possibilities.
I don't like to...
Katrina, I'm explaining. Oh, hold on. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Huh? Yes. So you see, it's not an accident. You mentioned capitalism at the beginning of your speech, because I can tell.
Actually, well, that is capitalism.
Katrina, can I finish or no?
Sorry. Yes.
But now you're upset.
No, it's just that the dynamic is often putting thoughts into giving me a choice where neither one actually fits, and telling me that here's how I'm thinking when it's actually not how I'm thinking at all. and
Yeah.
then not giving me an opportunity to actually explain how I am thinking. And so the model is really, I think it could work well in certain contexts. It depends what it's being applied to, but it's very specific in what it's, where its power lies, right?
Now, can I conclude without you stopping me?
Yes,
All right.
please.
So, you see, we tested your capacity to be outside of your usual capitalist environment, consumer environment, where I follow my needs, I get what I want. We tested you. Now, just let me finish. Don't interrupt me with shaking your head, you see? But if it's unbearable, I won't even conclude. Do you allow me to conclude, or you don't want me to say anything?
Please do.
All right, but you promise not to shake your head, because I'm very sensitive and I cannot speak with somebody shaking his head when I speak. You promise not to shake your head?
I promise.
All right, because this way you might listen. Yeah, so, you know, when you go to Oxford, they test you. They test your capacity to be creative and flexible by saying, would you prefer, are you more an orange or a banana? And of course, people like you say, what do you mean orange or banana? I'm not used to be called orange or banana. I like other fruits than orange or banana. Why orange and banana? And the guy, he writes down, this person is very close-minded. This person is very capricious, you see? And that's what we're testing, you see? Of course, the universe is not limited to A and B, but the capacity of someone to choose between A and B, no matter how arbitrary he is, shows his openness to the world, his openness to his non-world. And of course, it's difficult. And I understand not only that it's difficult, that you can get upset about it. But that's the principle of any exercise. It's artificial, but the capacity of doing it shows the capacity of escaping our usual little world. Yeah. So I hope this is a little bit of an explanation for you. And let's see if somebody else wants to try this exercise who has never done it. Huh? But before maybe, does anybody want to analyze what happened with Katrina? Because it's a classic for the one that know the work. Does anybody have an insight on it? You raise your hand. Or either on what I did or what she did, whatever. Yes, Sergey, go ahead.
It looks like Katrina met with herself.
Can you speak louder, because your sound is not so good?
I'm sorry. It looked like Katrina met with herself with the part that she either do not know or she doesn't like. She met with a contradiction to herself, and it made her nervous because she did not expect this to happen.
Yeah. Which contradiction did you observe, Sergey?
She was thinking herself as an anti-capitalist minded person, and she found herself in the frames of being 100% capitalist after your questioning.
Okay. Anybody else wants to say or ask something? Pierre, are you raising your hand? Go ahead, yeah. We cannot hear you. You have a technical problem. All right. Can you solve it or no? No, all right. Anyone else wants to speak? If I don't, yeah, Anne, go ahead.
Ambitious connects to expressions.
Ambitious connects to expression. Can you explain why you say that?
Because we can see that Katrina is a ambitious person, and I found that in the whole process, she has a I don't know if it's a desire or it's a urge to express something. So while she tries to explain or express something, she's not thinking. She cannot see herself. Instead, she is looking at you and want to express, and that's a way to show her ambitious.
Okay, so you're saying because she wants too much to express something, she's very focused on the other person, and then there's absence of distance necessary for thinking.
Yes.
All right. Anything else, or you're good?
I'm good.
All right. Any other comment or question?
There is Andrea.
Yeah, Andrea, go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, just speak a bit loud because your sound not so good.
Yeah, what I noticed is that this kind of conversation made Katrina nervous because I mean, it was difficult for her like to decide between just two options, and I think there is a connection with the ambitions problem she mentioned before. She said many times, a lot, and when you have to decide just between two different options, you have to be ready to lose something. And I see like this kind of connection between the difficulty to lose something and the desire to have more.
Yeah. You know, here actually, that's where the conceptualization is very important, yeah? To listen to the words and the lexical field used by someone. And indeed here, the lexical field was rather greedy, rather ambitious, so it's not a surprise that at the moment where you have to reduce between two things, and the poverty, I would even say the humility, or even the humiliation in the vision one can have of being reduced to a choice between two things is viewed as aggressive, as violent, yeah? And that's what's interesting always. And just as a parenthesis, it's funny because it's not often that in a consultation people start with political issues, yeah? In this case, the idea of capitalism. But I've noticed very often that what people denounce as the enemy is, in a funny way, the reason for being, yeah? Like, for example, people who are atheistic, they want to fight God. Well, strangely enough, I call this, oh, I don't remember the name, but anyway, like it's this concept that inhabitates people and is very dear to them, and they're fighting with it. A bit like somebody would fight with his father figure or something like that, yeah? So what people fight with is inside themselves. So it's not an accident that somebody who wants to fight capitalism is ambitious and greedy. It goes very nicely together. Otherwise, that person will be indifferent to the idea of capitalism, yeah? But that's hard to see because people function through these opposites. They function through this scheme of opposites, and they think they're opposed. But no, they're not opposed. They function together, yeah? It's an idea of Chuang-Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, which I'm working on these days, or an idea of Aristotle as well. The opposites are born together, yeah? So your enemy is part of you, yeah? So it's not an accident, yes? And that's why the words, it's so important to examine the words that are being used, yes? Because as Wittgenstein said it, the limits of your language is the limits of your world. You want to add something, Andrea, or it's good?
Yeah, I was wondering how can the philosopher can be able to manage this kind of situation when the client is trying to escape like so much because it's hard and difficult to stay in the game. And I noticed that you try to remind the client the rules of the game, but still, even if she was trying to respect them, it was too hard for her So at one point, you just decide to stop.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there are other different ways to try to keep the client in the game.
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to know that Katrina is not, I would say, a normal subject that comes to see a philosopher because she thinks she knows, you see. She's an expert, she's a psychotherapist, she has knowledge, she studied philosophy, so she thinks she knows already. So she would never, it's very rare that I get somebody, I get in seminars, but not somebody who comes to see a consultation. Generally, people that come to see a consultation, they trust you. They think you know your job. They think so. They might have difficulty, but okay, I ask them to surrender, they surrender, and then they do it, yeah? But for people who are experts and have this identity as an expert, it's very difficult. That's why, for example, I rarely do philosophy consultation to philosophers. It's very difficult for philosophers unless they're able to give up on their identity as philosopher. Then it's possible, but it's very difficult. So it's a bit particular. It's not, I would say it's not a usual situation. So I asked, can you surrender? She says, yes, then try again, doesn't work, and okay. So, and then basically because there's too much, the idea is I'm gonna show you that I know and your questions are stupid, they're reductionist, yeah, something like that, yeah? So it's a bit of it's not a, let's call it a usual situation, yeah? It's a bit particular, yeah? I'll get this if I go at university, do a seminar, I will get that. But it's not what the people we meet in our regular work, yeah? Does that answer your question, Andrea?
Yes and no.
Okay. Well, tell me the part that's not answered.
Yeah, I was wondering if even if I understood that there is a kind of rare situation for the because the client is different from the usual client. But even in this situation, there are something more that you could do to try to keep the client in the.
Well, okay. I'll answer you, but you might think I'm not answering you. I have done the work with Katrina. What we've done in maybe 10 minutes with Katrina is a lot. Is a lot.
Oh.
And I think that she will think about it. She's gonna go. I would not say home tonight, or she's home, whatever. But it has an effect. On this, I really agree with Lacan. You know, the debate with Lacan, the classical psychoanalyst. The classical psychoanalyst thought you need 1 hour. The official time for a consultation is 1 hour, yeah? And Lacan said no. He said, and he introduced this conception called Lacanian cut. And basically, you do what is needed with a person to get something through. And there's a joke like that where a client of Lacan, patient, knocks on the door, and Lacan, the guy opens the door, then he says, okay, it's 100 euros, whatever. The guy pays, and he says, finished. Yeah, you see? And I think the job with Katrina was done. We went as far as we could go. Now, of course, somebody else smarter can always find another way, but the way I would see it is we've done what could be done. Yeah, yeah. So, and sometimes stopping. Well, the shortest consultation I did was 3 minutes. 3 minutes, same, it was an expert, yeah. But the day after, she asked me again, said, okay, this time I'll do it, and I'll really do it, and then we did it 1 hour. But the first time, after 3 minutes, I said, okay, forget it. That's it, done, yeah. But she thought about it. It was in Norway, I remember, and then we did something longer. But you cannot do more than what is possible. And the experience, I think, of course, I'm speaking from outside Katrina, but from my experience, the experience Katrina had tonight is very rare for her. She never has this kind of experience. So it's quite a shock. And now she's going to think about it, and that's it. Yeah. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. Yeah.
Anyone else wants to say something? Yeah, Christian, go ahead.
Hello. So, considering Katrina an expert, doesn't she comply with the authoritative figure of another expert? She doesn't like authority.
Well, I think the answer to your question is a bit of a given, no? No?
Yes.
Right. It's more a statement you're making, no?
Yes.
So I prefer you don't hide as a question and you explain your idea. Go ahead.
Okay. So perhaps she considers herself an expert in her domain and doesn't see the value you're offering that comes from your domain. And you're also an expert in your domain. So it's a fight between two domains where two experts try to have a dialogue and come to, I don't know, an idea.
Right. Yes, something like that. And it happens periodically. In fact, when I see people fighting with me, I often ask them, but what is your expertise? Huh? And either they have a therapist expertise or coach expertise or philosophy expertise. And of course, yes, then there's a struggle, what I call the Hegelian struggle for the recognition. But the added thing that was very interesting, and for me, that's very, it's culturally very determined, is the argument of my I don't remember what was my clients, my patients, what they were, you know, like there was a vox populi, and all these people, they would not like, yeah? Like it was really like on internet, the majority is right, you know? So, because all these people, they would be against it, yeah? Which is funny because if I had a discussion with her, I would say, hey, these are the people that voted for Trump. This majority, all these people that would be against what I'm proposing, half of them voted for Trump. So, but anyway, that was just more irony more than anything else. But yeah, but that was interesting, the mentioning at the end that all these people, they would be against it. That was an interesting argument. There was the expertise plus representing the vast majority of people. And that's the concept of consumer. This means consumer. It's a lowest common denominator of people. It's consumers today. Yeah. Did you want to add something?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody else raised his hand. Yeah, Anka, go ahead.
The client said she wanted the philosopher to know her, but she showed that she wanted you to know her preferred image about herself. When you saw the capitalist side, which she does not identify with, then the struggle started.
Right. And that's, of course, classic in human relation. Yeah. Does the person see what we present to this person, or does the person see what we would like to be seen? And normally, in normal social relation, we accept to play the game. We accept that I will see what you want me to see. And in exchange, you will see in me what I want you to see in me. And that's why, for example, Plato criticized the concept of friendship. There's no truth. Yeah? To be friends, we have to go with the pact. So that distinction you're making between what I present to the world and what I would like to present to the world is, yes, a fundamental distinction. And that's what the harsh job of the philosophy practitioner is, the parrhesia, what the Greek called parrhesia, the capacity of truth. I will tell you what I see and not what, I will not accept the game of what you want me to tell you that I see. Yeah, yeah. And normally, as you said, if somebody speaks against capitalism, he says, I don't know, I'm a socialist, I'm a libertarian, whatever, yeah? But if what we do, we listen, and we listen to see if indeed you are what you say, or the opposite of what you say. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the difficult work of, and that's why, by the way, the philosophical tools to analyze, to give interpretation are important. Do you want to add something, Anka?
Yes, I have also a question about this. Since it is difficult to look at the reality of oneself, is there some sort of necessary preparation in order to be able to look at oneself?
You have your whole life to prepare. You know, it's there's no secret. Now, when we work with someone in the philosophical practice over repeated sessions, we work on that, or in workshops, yeah, to get people to relax. For example, I know when I work in Russia for a lot, and in Russia there's a very strong, same in China actually, there's a very strong idea of perfection. You should be perfect, yeah, and anything betraying or showing that imperfection is painful, yeah, because there's a let's call it a phantasm or pretension to perfection. So when we work with people that have this issue, a lot of the work is to be able to relax, accept your finitude, accept your limits, and to calm down that ghost of perfection. So that's part of the technique. That's part of the work, to say, well, you are who you are. You're mortal, you're finite, you're stupid, you're fat, whatever, and that's not the end of the world. And actually, I was thinking here about a guy who's a doctor, who's a doctor in Italy. He's a specialist of obesity. And he told me that one of the biggest difficulty he has in his work is to get people to accept the fact they're obese, which is funny because you would think that all you have to do is put them on a scale and by their weight, you know, or measuring their waist, you can tell. But no, he says, even though you weigh them, they have all kind of argument. They say, it's because I retain water, it's because I have big bones. He says, it's amazing all the efforts they will put to deny obesity, which is a rather objective objective criteria. Yeah, you can calculate it. So imagine to recognize your own self from a mental standpoint, which is you cannot measure. It's very difficult, but I think that's the work. That's part of the work. So are there techniques? I don't know. I guess that would come back to wisdom. There are different ways to do that. Yeah, but one way that we do this is to make people experience the freedom of thinking. You know, that you can think, the joy of thinking. So the pain you might have because what you think is not so pleasant might be compensated by the freedom and the joy of thinking, no matter how absurd is the exercise you're being proposed. Yeah. Do you have a better technique for doing that, Anka?
I present myself as a limited person, and
So you give the example.
I try to relax before the other.
Okay, so you say, I'm an example of person which is not so good, yeah?
Yes.
I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm old, whatever, yeah? Okay, why not? Yes, okay, good. All right. Okay, anyone else wants to say something or ask? No? No other comments? Yes, okay. If no one else has, does anybody else then who hasn't done consultation would like to give it a try? Or most people here have experience in consultation. Natalia, okay, Natalia, yeah. Oh, you have disappeared. Yes, you have never done consultation. Can you put your microphone on? You know, you have to push the button saying, yeah, good. Now speak. Oh, you put it back off.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So you have not done consultation, right?
No, never.
Okay, fine.
Mhm.
So,
Can you hear me well now?
repeat.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we hear you very nicely. No
Okay.
problem.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. All right. By curiosity, what is your country?
I'm Russian.
You're Russian. Okay. All right. So, do you have a question you would like to ask or a problem you would like to state?
Problem.
Go ahead.
My daughter next year will go to school. She will be 6 years old and she will go to school. And for me, very much difficult to communicate with people who is working in the field of education.
Okay, let's stop here. Let's stop here. The problem here is you discussing with teachers. Is that it? Just rather yes or rather no? Is that the problem or no?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, we go with that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So the problem Natalia has to speak with teachers. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay. Now, so let's examine this problem. Now, how do you know you have problem to speak with teachers?
I experienced it yesterday.
Okay. Can you tell me in one sentence, just one sentence, what happened yesterday?
My daughter took a test to go to the school.
Natalia, you see, you're not supposed to speak about your daughter here. You notice?
Okay.
No, do you see why?
Yes, because it's about me.
It's about you. It's about you and the teachers.
Yes.
Huh? Okay. So don't tell the whole story. I'm sure it's a very nice story, but not now. Now I want you to go directly, really try to synthesize what was your problem with the teacher.
I got upset about what she told me.
Okay, fine. You got upset about what the teacher told you.
Yes.
Yeah? Now,
yes.
Is your problem in speaking with teachers that you got upset with what they tell you? Is that the problem?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, Natalia, a terrible question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Do you get upset only with teachers or with other people as well?
With other people as well.
Okay. So would you say it's a more general problem that Natalia gets upset?
Yes.
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 Can we go with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. See? First it's the daughter, then it's the teachers, then it's Natalia. Okay. Now, do you know why, in general, do you know why you get upset? The main reason. I'm sure there are different reasons, but you see one reason that comes periodically.
Maybe that things did not work out so nicely and beautifully how I already planned them, how I already imagined how.
You would like things to work beautifully as you planned them.
Yes.
Are you, I'm going to ask you the same question as with Katrina. Are you ambitious?
I am, yes.
Okay, so you want a lot, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So do you know that if you want a lot, you know what the consequence of wanting a lot is?
No.
You don't know. I'm sure you do. Well, the more you want, the more you get disappointed. Did you know that?
Yes.
You know, if I want €1, okay, I probably won't get disappointed. I'll get my €1. But if I want €1,000,000, well, there's more chance I get disappointed. You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. So Are you, as you say in Russia, are you жадный? Are you greedy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So what else you want to know?
And how not to be greedy? If there are some ways to stop be greedy and
okay, so you would like not to be greedy, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's examine. Did you ever ask yourself this question before?
No.
It's the first time.
Yes.
So for you to be greedy is so natural that you never ask yourself how to stop being greedy. Is that it?
Yes, Oscar. Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, let me ask you, people around you, family, friends, colleagues, did anybody ever tell you you are greedy, either with these words or with different words?
With different words, sometimes my husband.
Okay. Husbands are useful sometimes. Like what?
Yeah.
What does your
I have
husband...
a good husband.
Okay, you're a good husband. What does he say, your husband, which expresses that? Which expression does he use?
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
I don't know why.
This is very nice, Natalia. This is beautiful. Okay. You know your husband, which is a good husband,
yes,
criticizes you for being greedy, but you don't remember what he says, right?
Exactly.
Well, do you see something funny here?
Yes.
Tell me what's funny here.
It's two information which are opposite to each other.
How are they opposite? Explain.
Like if my husband, if I say yes, my husband let me know that I'm greedy, then my brain has to remember some case. Yeah, my brain knows about it, but I say that I don't know, I don't remember.
Right. You see, because I ask you if you ever ask yourself something about it. Yeah. Now, one reason I ask you that often is because it doesn't come from us. It often comes from outside. People that know us. Most of the time, the truth about ourselves doesn't come from ourselves. It comes from outside. Yeah. Because us, we are like we are. We think that's fine. It's the others that tell us, hey, there's a problem with your behavior. Yeah. But there are different ways by which we evacuate this. And one way is simply by forgetting, by not listening. And in fact, sometimes people tell me either my wife, she tells me, but that's her, or she's angry, or that's my wife. So they use the fact it's the wife of the husband or the mother or the child to eliminate this idea. Yeah. But if your husband told you, you know he told you, but you forgot, that means he presented to you the problem, but you prefer not to know about it.
Yes.
Why you don't want to know about it?
I remember from childhood that it is bad to be a greedy person.
Okay, fine, that's fine. From which standpoint is it bad to be a greedy person? From which standpoint?
Now I don't understand the question. What means from which standpoint?
Okay, okay. I'll give you an example. Suppose that your father was, let's go back to the capitalist, was a strong, although historically it won't make much sense in Russia, but anyway, suppose your father was a strong capitalist. He likes to make money, and he thinks making money is the best thing in the world, okay? Your father, that imaginary father, would he tell you, Natalia, don't be greedy? Or he would say, Natalia, be greedy?
He would say, be greedy.
Okay, you see? But that's not your case, because your parents told you it's bad to be greedy, okay?
Yes.
Okay, So you see, the imaginary father I presented to you, I call him capitalist father. You know, he's a businessman. See, from the standpoint that you should make money, that you capitalist, then greedy is good. From which standpoint is greedy bad?
When it ruins greedy person.
Yeah, but okay. What kind of thinking tells you greedy is bad? How do you call this kind of thinking?
When greedy is bad, when you have so much that you cannot handle with what you have.
Yeah, I know. Now you're explaining to me why greedy is bad, but that's not my question. Okay. Suppose you think about someone who would tell you, what kind of person would say, hey, greedy is bad? What kind of person? Example.
My granny would say so.
Your grandmother, yeah?
Yeah, she would say so, yes.
Well, why? What kind of person is she to tell you that?
This I don't know, just granny.
Okay, all right. Well, let me propose to you a couple of concepts here that I can propose as people who would say greedy is bad. Either religious people, because since you're Russian, in the Orthodox religion, if you gather money, you will not go to paradise. So if you're greedy, you don't go to paradise. You have to be poor to go to paradise. First, religious. Second is a moral person. A moral person would say, what is moral is to help people, is to share. It's not to be greedy. Yeah. So a moral person or a religious person would tell you greedy is bad. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Your granny, was she religious? Was she moral or something else?
She was not, okay, she had her attitudes, like it's not religion, but probably some attitudes that money are not important, but talent is important, and talent is important.
Talent is important.
Yes.
Now, how do you explain somebody would say talent is more important than greed? How would you explain her kind of thinking?
Talent is more important than greed.
Yeah, what kind of thinking is that? You give it a name.
Talent is more important than greed. But talent is more important than greed.
I'm not denying that. I'm not saying it's right. Okay. Let me propose to you. It's someone who thinks what's important is accomplishment, self-realization.
Yes.
Yes? Which word do you prefer? Accomplishment, self-realization, or another word?
I don't know why I don't know.
Then pick one. Don't worry. Don't look for the perfect word. Just pick one.
Okay. Self-realization. Realization. Yeah.
Because if you have skills, you realize yourself.
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. Okay? When greed, it's not about realizing yourself. It's about possession. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. So we have here two opposite schemes. Okay. Self-realization and possession. Yeah. But when you get angry because things don't go the way you want, are you more into possession?
Possession.
Now, Natalia, would your grandmother be upset at you?
Of course, yes.
Of course. Did you think about that?
No.
No. It's you discover it now, yeah? Although when you think about your grandmother, you realize this, yes? Now, let me ask you. Do you think your grandmother is right?
Yes.
Yes.
She's right.
She's right.
Self-realization is more important than possession.
Okay, then why you don't follow your grandmother's advice?
So, no, because so made grandchildren.
Repeat.
Grandchildren are made so.
Well, no, they are made so it doesn't make any sense. Okay, do you think in your life you are accomplishing something with your life? Rather yes or rather no?
I'm accomplishing, yes.
What do you accomplish mainly? The main thing you accomplish in your life?
I very much like my family.
Do you realize how you answered me?
No,
You answered me with a possession.
this I did not notice.
Well, you have children, right?
Yes.
You have husband.
Yes.
It's not an accomplishment.
Why?
Well, you know, rabbits have families too, you know?
But humans sometimes don't have families.
I know. And sometimes
Rabbits have. For rabbits it's easy, and for people not so easy. Sorry, yeah.
Sometimes human beings are poor. It doesn't mean that wealth is not what it is, okay? Right now, you just have a family, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not how is that an accomplishment? All you have to do is reproduce, find a husband and reproduce. How is that an accomplishment?
No, also happens, not always.
No.
But okay.
How is that an accomplishment? Tell me. Or no, it's just that you have a family and you like.
I have a family, yes.
Yes.
And yeah.
But do you accomplish something yourself with Natalia? Does Natalia accomplish something?
Ah, okay.
Or no? Okay. That means no, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And can it be frustrating for you, Natalia, that you're not accomplishing something with your life?
Yes, it is frustrating.
What would you like, if you could today, you had the freedom, the possibility, the finances, whatever, what is it you would like to do with your life? One thing.
But it is kind of very much
Natalia,
fantastic.
Natalia.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care if it's fantastic. What would you like to do with your life if you could?
I would like to move back to Russia.
Move back to Russia?
Yes.
Yeah? Where do you live now?
In Austria.
In Austria, yeah?
Yeah.
And why do you want to move to Russia?
Because I miss Russia.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you know that there are millions of people living in Russia? Do you know that?
I felt more free in Russia.
Natalia, do you know there are millions of people living in Russia?
Yeah.
Do you think they accomplish something because they live in Russia, or no? There's no connection.
No.
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 So again, you don't want to accomplish anything. You realize this?
Yes.
Now, you have children, yes?
Yes.
Okay. How old are your children?
5 and 2.
Okay. Now, what do you think of educating your child, which is 5 years old, by saying, you know, what's important in life is to have children and to move to Russia? Is it the goal you would like to give your 5-year-old child? Or no?
No.
No. What kind of goal you try to give your child?
To enjoy life.
Okay. You see, but you don't. You notice that. Now, do you see maybe why you get irritated at people, why you get angry?
Because I don't enjoy life?
Well, I don't know. Do you think your life is joyful?
Yes.
Well, why do you get angry so much? What's the main reason why you get angry? Because things don't go the way you want, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, that means you're not happy with your life because things don't go the way you want. Right or no?
Yes.
Okay. Huh? And again, think if you had something, for example, is there something you like your children to do? You think that's good that they do it?
That that they are already doing it and they're good in it.
It doesn't matter if they do it or don't do it. Is there something you think, oh, it's good my children do it? Don't worry if they already do or don't do, but something, it's good he does that.
It's good that when my daughter is drawing, she's also singing when she's drawing and she enjoys it.
Just simple. What, drawing?
Singing, drawing, jumping.
Just okay. Singing and drawing, yeah? Artistic activity. Yes?
Yes.
Both are artistic activity. You agree with me?
Yes.
You think it's good that your child does artistic activity, yeah?
Yes.
Why?
Because she enjoys it when she's doing it.
Can you go a bit beyond that and say, what is good about artistic activity?
That it's interesting. It is, you're creating something new.
Okay, you're creating something. So you think it's good to create something?
Yes.
You think a human being should create something?
Yes.
What do you create?
Now nothing.
Would you like to create?
Yes.
Yes. What would you like to create?
No, I don't know.
Exactly. You see the problem?
Yes.
The crucial issue in your life, you don't think about it. You see a reason to be unhappy with your existence and be upset when people tell you things that you don't like and when things don't happen the way you want.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to have to stop here because another time in private we can go further, but now it's not the moment, as you understand. I'm going to stop here, but it's a bit the middle, but doesn't matter. Did you enjoy our discussion?
I enjoyed it, yes.
Tell me why.
It was very much interesting for me. And it was unusual.
Okay, stop now. Stop now. You say it was unusual, yeah?
It was unusual.
Did you like this unusualness?
Yes, I liked it.
Okay, which is very important for people who suspect that in a consumer society, people only want what they already know. So why did you enjoy this unusualness?
Because then happened something what I did not expect to happen.
And what is that?
That we came to absolutely different subject, which I did not think to discuss. And
yes, and that's generally what happened in this kind of work. We come to surprising situation. What surprised you the most in our discussion?
When you speak English, I understand you very well, but it was some moment when I realized that you asked me some, like by words, very, very simple questions. And at the same time, I don't get the meaning. I don't understand what you ask me.
Right.
And
that surprised you that you did not understand simple questions. Is that it?
Yes. So I knew the words, but I even thought that I stopped to speak English. I stopped to understand English, but
well, you know, that's as well a common phenomenon in this work. That's what happened to Socrates. He asked simple questions. And that's what's very destabilizing for people. It's so simple that people don't understand what's going on because they're used to making very complicated schemes to avoid seeing reality. And simplicity I would say even the stupidity of the question is a very important thing. Yeah. Now, is there one insight about yourself, one thought that remains after this discussion? And say, oh, that was surprising thought about myself.
Yes, but I don't want to share it now in the group. Yes,
Okay,
it was.
that's
Yes.
fine. So it's sufficiently important that
Yes.
you prefer
Yes.
not to share. That's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Just now, as a little cherry on the cake, suppose you have to decide now some creative activity you would start. Don't worry if it's possible or not. Any creative activity, just give it to me now. Whatever. And
Movie director.
Movie director, okay? So, do you have a camera?
Yes.
Okay, good. So tomorrow you can start your first movie. Is that good?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And in 1 week, you send me the production.
Okay.
I don't care what it is, how long, you send me your first movie. Is that it?
Okay.
Good?
Okay.
We have a deal?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
You want to add something or we're good?
No, it's good.
All right. Okay, good. Okay. So I think for people here was very interesting because we saw two very different type of discussions. Huh? But of course, the personality is different, so that's a bit expectable. So does anybody want to make a comment or ask a question either about the last discussion or about some general issues of the consultation? Raise your hand.
Oscar, can I send the link or it's a bit later?
Oh yeah, I forgot. You, Lara is going to send a link for people that want to do either consultation or do exercises. And we have a proposal for people who had never done consultation. You can get, I think, a free consultation or something like that. So Lara is going to send a link on the chat. She already put it. So you can go and the first 10 people, I think, who inscribe can get a free consultation. Yeah. So you can go to
yeah. First 10 people.
Okay. Yeah. Isabel, go ahead.
So I have sent the link, and you all can check in the Zoom chat. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I found very interesting the difference between what happens with Katrina and Natalia, because there was a lot of resistance in Katrina. She wanted to speak a lot, and she didn't want to just answer the question, and like she was forced to say what she didn't want to say. And the face as well was not generous at all. You know, she was. We could see she was not happy with what's happening, and as there was also some fear not being understood and the way she wanted to make sure, so a lot of insecurity. With Natalia, it was totally the opposite. She was generous in her attitude. She wanted to do good, you know, she wanted to be like maybe she's maybe at home, you know, she's good. You can see she must be, even if she's greedy, she admits, but as well, you can see some generosity. She wanted to answer your questions. And so there was no resistance. So of course it was much more easy for you when you were questioning her, as she was not afraid of looking stupid or whatever, which was not the case with Katrina. So it was totally the opposite of attitude between Katrina and Natalia.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And generally, normally when people come to see us for a consultation, basically there is what I call trust. Otherwise, at some point I say, well, if you don't trust, why you come? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes. Although I must say that Natalia is a very easy client.
Yeah.
It was on the other extreme. Normally, people we get are sort of in between. But
yeah, but
okay.
There was a goodwill in Natalia. There was not in Katrina, you know.
Yeah.
It
but
was all
time,
to fight with you, but not Natalia.
But at the same time, if I can make a little criticism of Natalia, there's too much naivete. yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a problem for the thinking as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that would have to be worked on to have a little bit more critical thinking. But it started. But that's it's a form as well of being so nice. That's the motherly side, to be so nice that we get along well, and that kind of avoid thinking. Yeah. So if we were in a private situation with Natalia, I would as well poke her a little bit on this, you know, but to be a little bit more on the critical thinking side, so she could pick up some elements of Katrina. That would be good. Yes.
Yeah, but
So,
the Medif is more in appearance.
yes, exactly.
So
At the same time, yes.
She wants
Yes.
to look good.
Yes. To look good, be nice,
Be
to
nice.
be a nice woman, to be loved. She wants to be loved. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. So, anyone else wants to say something? Yeah, Anne, go ahead.
In the whole process that I found Natalia always have a really big smile, even when she's talking about some depressed things. And I don't know if it's a normal or it's a normal situation. To me, it's a bit weird, because when you're talking about something weird or angry, you must, it's more normal to look like upset or something, even a little bit. But she's like a cheerful and smile, and it's only big smile and small smile. I feel odd.
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if it's a normal
Anne,
situation.
I have to, I cannot here avoid doing something that bothers people when I do this, but is bring up a cultural issue. Yeah. In China, when there's a problem, it's a catastrophe. It's a drama. It's, you know, it is crying and it's terrible. So I'm not surprised you're shocked. So that's interesting for you to see that, but that's not necessarily the case with all culture. And in the case here, the cultural dimension, see, Natalia, in a way, the relationship with me was in a way part of the important things, that we get along, we're friendly, we could have a tea together. Yes, it's in a way more important than the particular content. Yeah, it's very relational. Yeah, so the dynamic is very different. And indeed, I would not see, from my experience in China, I would not see somebody functioning like, it's very rare, functioning like Natalia. I would see it more in Russia or maybe in Italy, where the joy of the relation overcomes the drama of the content. But you guys there, Chinese culture, you're very serious people, and problems have to be taken very seriously. Right, Anne?
Yes.
Yes, okay. But at the same time, it's useful because precisely culture is both a condition and an obstacle. So to see that indeed in a different culture, it can be taken differently is for you, I think, an interesting experience. No?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Problems can be joyful. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You want to add something, Anne?
And I want to add that if when I'm doing a consultation, how do I tell if my client it's odd or not?
Well, let's put it this way. There's nothing odd. In the absolute, nothing is odd. Within a given context, things are what they are. So you can say nothing is odd, yeah? Okay? After that, you can say from the standpoint of reason, does it make sense? Yeah? Or from another perspective, another paradigm, does it make sense? For example, that's a bit what I try to do with Natalia. She's greedy, she wants things, and I say, but did you ever experience someone who's not like that? And we came up with a babushka, you know, the grandmother who's not like that. And then we went to examine how's the grandmother. And so we looked at Natalia, at her thinking not as being odd, but as being having discrepancy from the standpoint of the grandmother, you see? So you create a situation of perspective. You invite someone to look at his particular way of thinking from a different perspective. You see?
Yes, yes.
So in a way, you can say nothing is odd and everything is odd. And since I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking here about the famous story of Chuang-Tzu about the butterfly, where Chuang-Tzu dreams that he's a butterfly, and then he wakes up and he says, I don't know if I'm Chuang-Tzu dreaming of a butterfly or butterfly dreaming is Chuang-Tzu. Now, what is the idea of Chuang-Tzu? Is you should be able to think always from a different perspective. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean to give up your perspective, but to be able to create a dualism of perspective. And like the way you have two eyes, that's the way you can see perspective. You need a double vision. Yeah. Yeah? So things are not odd, but you're going to make them odd through the intervention of what Plato calls the foreigner, the outside. Yeah, and the outside, you have to create it within the scheme of the person. In the case of Natalia, it was the grandmother. Yeah, it was an outside but familiar to her, an outside from her inside. Understand the idea?
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, when people make drama, yeah, you should try to make them think if there's a possibility not to view this problem as dramatic. Yeah. So I ask sometimes, what would your parents tell you? What would your neighbor tell you if they want you to be less dramatic, or what? Yeah. Or the grandmother, who sometimes grandmothers represent some kind of wisdom, like in that case. Yeah. You want to add something, Anna? We're good.
Good.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, Diego, go ahead.
Yes. I'd like to know how much of what you did is knowledge of the process of the consultation, and how much comes from your experience of other consultations similar to these you did before.
But Diego, I don't see a difference in your alternative. You ask me if it's from my knowledge or my experience, but it's the same thing. So I don't understand the alternative.
The knowledge of the process, of the mechanism of the consultation.
Well, I cannot answer such a question because I did not study it in school with a formal theoretical understanding. It comes from practice. So I cannot distinguish the knowledge and the experience. It's the same thing. So I have a hard time with your question. Did you understand my difficulty?
Yes.
Can you help me, or no? You make a distinction that I don't make.
No, this is an answer. I understand.
I answered, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, by saying there's no difference, yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah. Yeah, because today people that learn, study consultation in a course or a seminar, I mean, they first hear some theory and then they try to apply it, yeah? But it did not exist when I was a student. So it was developed through the practice. So I don't have the experience of that. This you would have to ask people that have learned it in a formal way and then try to apply it. Yeah. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Wait, I'm trying to see who's speaking.
Katrina.
Oh, Katrina, go ahead.
There's a lot I could say, but I won't. But I'll just, I was just wondering if in this method, is it standard to find the problem within the individual person, like inside of them, rather than like, do you ever find that the source of a problem is possibly external or, you know, societal or contextual, and that they're responding to that rather than the source of the problem always being internal?
Right. It's not so much the source of the problem, because for example, if you were beaten up all your life, of course, you can say, I was beaten up, yeah? So It's you cannot deny it. Now the thing is that our work is a philosophical work, yeah, and the philosophical work, where we have, for example, the idea of Sartre, that it's what you do in your life that is determinant. When you die, on your epitaph, we're not going to write you were beaten up by your neighbors, yeah. What you do with your life is what is determinant. That is your freedom. That is your autonomy, what you accomplish, yeah? And even if you want to change society, why not? It's not, of course, but then you would have to express what is needed from your standpoint. We're not sociologists who are going to analyze society. We're dealing with a person, and we're going to see with this person what is going on, what's the problem in this. And after that, suppose he tells you, well, capitalism is the problem. I'm going to say, well, what is your problem to deal with capitalism? Yeah? But it's a philosophical investigation. That means you work on the worldview, on the attitude, and in a way, we don't try to solve problems. Yeah, as well. That's you're a therapist, so maybe I should clarify that. We're not into solving problems. We are into thinking. Is how to make people think, you see? That is the issue. It's like I gave the example of gymnastics. Huh? You go, the idea is to get people to think, to get them involved in a critical thinking perspective, but not in solving problems. And that might be a difficulty you have here in your question. You would think of solving maybe, but no, we
I'm not
want
a
people,
therapist.
we want people to learn to think in a more free way. Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, basically. So this model focuses on the rational aspect. And by the way, I'm not a therapist. I'm a consultant. It's different.
It's not okay. It doesn't matter. We are, but
Yeah,
the way
yeah, it's okay.
But
okay.
no, it's not on just on the rational. That's not true. We work a lot on what today is popularly called as emotional intelligence. Yes. In other words, and we saw it with Natalia. What is the emotion? Identify the emotion. Identify the cause of the emotion. So it's not simply, of course, reason is a tool, but there is contemplation. There is, again, the work on emotion. So no, it's not simply the pure, like a pure rationality thing. As well, at some point, we ask people what is their choice. And the choice often are not based on rationality. They can be totally subjective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Roughly, yes, thanks.
Right. Okay. Anyone else wants to say or ask something? Does anybody wants to explain why he's not speaking? I'm always curious how people can be there for 2 hours saying nothing. Let's just for fun ask. Basile, I know you like to speak. Can you explain why you have nothing to say suddenly?
Well, I was very curious to listen to the 2 consultations and about the perspective that the more experienced practitioner have about these consultations.
Right. But what stops the expression of ideas? Can you say?
I don't know. I think my stumbling in thinking, in reflecting.
You mean this whole situation created chaos in your mind?
Not really chaos, but like associations with some ideas. And
yeah, well, give us one of these ideas that popped and that created short circuit.
Well, for instance, I was thinking about the way we do not control our speech and we let it like in a public realm and let it to be analyzed and by others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you see this in a joyful way or rather regretful way?
I think of it more in more of a joyous way.
Okay, what's
Yeah.
joyful about this abandon of your speech on the public place?
It isn't so well, you can learn to change the way you are, in the sense of you're not very fixed in special identity. You can move in a way. You're
Okay.
more flexible.
So the fact of projecting your speech on the public place creates, forces you sort of to shift. Is that it?
Yes, yes.
And that's why you preferred to remain silent. Is that
Maybe,
it?
yeah, yeah.
I love those performative contradictions. They're always beautiful. Okay. All right. Anyone else wants his chance to make a little stupid comment or question? Yes, Sergey, go ahead.
First thing that I admired today, and I always admire, is how easy and simple you take the particular event from the life of a person and spread it to his general paradigm. And Natalia said that I have a problem with a teacher, and you shifted this problem to all of her relations with people. This is amazing. And second amazing is that you take Natalia apart from this particular problem, and you, instead of dragging her on the surface, you put her directly to the root of her existential worldview or problem. And this mirrors so much to me that I somehow suspect that people who are present at the session, they reflect on themselves. And for me, this is the case, that it's a bit hard to understand that the problem Natalia has somehow has reference to ourselves. So it's also more general human problem than a particular case.
Yeah. By the way, that is the reason why a philosophy consultation can be public, you see. A therapist doesn't do things in public. A coach, not so much either, because there's something very private about the practice. But the idea of the public side of it, that's directly drawn from Plato. If you see that what Socrates does when he questions people, now sometimes it's in private, but very often it's either in gymnasium and other people are watching, it's on the agora, other people are watching. Most situations are public. Why? It is exactly what you're raising, because we're not so interested in the particular details of the person's life, in this particular problem, but more how it enlightens something about the general existential paradigm of this person, and furthermore, general human existential paradigm. And that's a very important difference between a philosophy practitioner and a therapist or a coach, yeah? That's why it's not personal. I remember sometime when I do this in public, I get some psychologists a little bit shocked that because for them, the privacy of the cabinet is a fundamental rule, yeah? But not here. Because in fact, what happens to someone, we try to make it a bit more universal, and it speaks in generally to other people. And it's as well with your first idea that whatever particular event people tell you about their life is always the tip of the icebergs, enlightening the general existential issues of this person. That's like a paradigm of philosophical practice. A particular issue is never in itself. It's always the particular reflection of a general thing. In fact, there's an interesting exercise I do sometimes. I ask people what is their earliest souvenir of their childhood. Yeah? And it's interesting that very often their earliest souvenir enlightens very nicely what is their main existential issues. Yeah? So there's no accident in all this. Yes, there's the principle of sufficient reason, as Leibniz calls it. Yeah, and that's what we try to do, is never get bogged down in a particular thing or situation or phenomenon, but always try to see how it reflects something more fundamental. Yeah. So both in the person and in humanity as a whole. In other words, any consultation is a search into humanity. And I know that when I discuss with psychoanalysts, that's what they don't like. Because a psychoanalyst, and it has another function, is interested in the absolute singularity of the person, his history. In this case, I stopped both Natalia and Katrina to tell their story about their life, about their job, about this. I don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear the story. And that's that. We just want the general patterns. Yeah. Okay, so I see it's going to be time unless the last person wants to say something. Yeah, Andrea, go ahead.
Yes, I have a little comment about Diego's question about the difference between theory and practice. I mean, he asked you if you learn more from the practice and more from the theory, and you answered that. Okay, because I mean, I think here in Italy, for example, to be like a philosopher in the consultation, if not become one of them, you have to study a lot, like before to practice. And what I noticed is that for the most of the philosopher, is the theory is not something that help you to jump in the water of experience, but instead is an excuse to not jump.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So you mean that, in a way, I see this with academic philosophy, yeah? It's very hard for many academic philosophers to do this practice, because even though I said that you can use elements from the philosophical culture, but the way philosophy is taught does not help you that. That's why many philosophy professors actually are not good teachers, because we give package deal of theories. But here, no, we have to be flexible. We have to use little elements. So yes, I would agree that if that's the question, that formal philosophy teaching can be an impediment to philosophical practice as much as it can be a help. Yeah. Diego, was that your issue?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Okay, so it's an Italian thing. You guys
but just a little thing. I wanted to know if you recall, while you do the consultation, if you recall other consultations you did before, if you think to other consultations and what you did in other consultations.
Well, it's hard to forget totally, because you have construction of certain structure, and as well you learn certain tricks that function, so you use them again. So yes, of course. It's not particular, although sometimes you can remember exactly this, but more, it's like when I use the example of karate, you practice, you repeat gesture, you do katas, yeah? And then you do a combat. So it's not that you say, oh, now it's time for that, but simply you have incorporated, you have internalized a number of gestures, and you will use them naturally. I saw somebody else raising his hand. No? Okay.
I have a really quick question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering why it is that you don't check to make sure that your assumptions are accurate about people, because they're based on very little information.
Oh, because I don't care. I don't care at all. See, we're not into making sure, because I'm not going to give, at the end, I'm not going to make, how does it called what the doctors do? They give a diagnostic with a prescription, you see? Our job is not to diagnose. Our job is to make people think. I can say things which are totally wacko. Today I try to behave, yeah, but I will say crazy things because it's a performative dimension that counts. We're not into a descriptive or prescriptive, to use the doctor's functioning. He describes, he diagnoses, and then he prescribes. We're in a performative dimension. We want to create a situation to get some thinking going. So no, there's no making sure. I don't care about being sure of anything. The only thing we got to make sure is that the person gets some thinking going, yeah? So making sure, no, never, yeah? And in fact, sometimes we throw certain ideas, and after that, it doesn't function, person doesn't pick it up or something. So what? It doesn't matter, yeah?
But isn't there, I understand that, I can see the value in that, but at the same time, isn't there a risk of offending the person by being way off in an assumption?
Oh, Katrina, offending the person. In what world are we when we worry about offending people? You know, in France, 2 centuries ago, you offend me, I invite you in a duel. But come on, we want people to reason, you know, and maybe, I know, well, since you seem to live in America, you guys are so sensitive now.
Please stop lumping me in with all the Americans.
No, Katrina,
not like them.
Don't do that, Katrina, don't do that. If you want to get angry, fine. I'm sure you have a lot of opportunities to get angry, but not here. Here, we hear really crazy stuff, and we don't get offended, we don't get upset. That's called thinking, okay? Huh? And I tell you, I hear a lot of crazy stuff in the work I do. If I would get upset every time, God, I would be so sad. So just take it easy. No, offending has no place in our business.
So maybe it would be helpful to tell clients that you're going to make some assumptions about them. They may not be accurate, but that's not important to the work.
Well, of course I'm not going to tell him that. Of course I will. Do you know why I will not tell him that? Because I want to surprise him. I want to see, like what you're doing now, how you jump up and down, how you get irritated and say, wow, Katrina, life is long. I say, and see, I pull simple tricks on you, like choosing between A and B, and wow, you get this. So Katrina, I hope what you get from this session is think how easily you get upset, how easily.
The thing I got from it is that there are aspects of psychoanalysis that are unwittingly being brought into this method.
All right. So what? I mentioned Lacan. So what? It's
no, the thing about...
No, Katrina, right. One after the... Wow. When do you relax, Katrina? When?
I just think it's dangerous to make people think that to make assumptions that are way off. There's a danger in that.
Okay, Katrina.
That should be addressed.
Katrina, I understand you're scared. You live in a dangerous world, fine. But maybe that's the work you should do, Katrina, to see that you fabricate danger. Maybe it's Disney World, you know? And that's the, and it's funny because I'm speaking to you and I say, God, it's almost scary. I have the impression of being in the night of the living dead. You know, you're really so scared. You know, I cannot stand horror movies because of this. I see all these scared people. Come on, you know, just take it easy, Katrina. To think, and that's, you know, I understand you do a different job. You want to reassure people. You want to be careful. You don't want to be wrong. I tell you what, I don't care about being wrong, Katrina. It's not my problem. And if I say crazy stuff and people hear crazy stuff and I make them think about this crazy stuff, no problem, Katrina. But I'm not there either to make people feel good, to reassure them, nothing like that. Just thinking. Mm-hmm. And if you start thinking, you will be reassured and see maybe you invented your night of the living dead. But stop speaking about danger. Danger of what? What's going to happen? Tell me.
You'll lose a connection with that person and the work won't be able to continue.
I don't care. I'm not there to make connection. I'm there to make people think. And with you, I saw the connection.
Thank you for the clarity.
Katrina, look, you cannot do this. You say something, you finish. I say something, you want to interrupt me. So I think we better stop, Katrina, because I irritate you too much. All right? I know I don't look like the people you meet. Fine, I understand that. But learn to discover new schemes. And don't be so worried and scared and who knows what and making drama. Huh? After the Chinese drama, now we have the American drama. That's okay, but just see it. See, maybe be able to look at it from outside. And maybe you're scared of things that you should not be scared about. Yes, Anka.
I wanted to say that the first time that I had a conversation with you, Oscar, I felt very insulted, and then you called it conceptualization. And ever since then, every time I get an insult, I think that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, that's what I tell kids. You know, when I work with teenagers, I say, he called me stupid. And why did you fight with him? He called me stupid. I say, well, next time he calls you stupid, I say, hey, that's an interesting concept. Can you tell me more about it and tell me why you call me stupid? But that's amazing. Sometimes I feel we're in another century. People get insulted, get offended, get this and that. I say, where do you live? What kind of world do you live in where words can make you angry and upset? Think about it. And that's what Chuang-Tzu criticized. People believe words. They hear words and they make some reality out of this world, out of these words. And he's trying to show how ridiculous is this attribute. Buddhists actually do the same thing, you know, how we attribute reality to words. Yeah, but it's fascinating because if people would do it, be joyful, that'd be fine. But no, they get angry. They give reality to words and they get angry. Amazing. Anyway, that's part of the work, is to deconstruct words. Yes, and that's, by the one thing common with psychoanalysis as well. Yeah. To agree on this with Katrina. Anyone else? Are we good? No? Yes, Lucy, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a comment regarding, if the word is dangerous. If someone feel it is not, and while someone else feel it is, then that means there's no objective fact. So it must be subjective feeling. The word is dangerous. I think that's a subjective, judgment. So I think people are not that fragile. As Katrina mentioned, that might hurt people or offend people. I think people are not that fragile unless that subjectively he or she feel that way. So that's my comment.
Okay, so that means we have a choice to decide the way we perceive the words, yeah?
Exactly, yes.
Right. Okay. Somebody else raised his hand. Who was it? Yeah, Pierre. Is your sound okay now? No. Sorry, you're still mute. Next time, unless you know sign language. All right. No, we're good. Okay, so for people who know about the practice, well, you know what to do and what to do to get some training. For people who don't, you go on the page that was given on the chat and you can get the trial of a consultation or see if you want to inscribe yourself. We have training programs, by the way, either individual or collective. Both are possible. And if people want information about this, you can write. There's a place to write on the landing page you got on the information. All right. Well, thank you very much for your patience, and maybe see you some other time. So long.